Early stages of more facilities expansion, and the city of Lincoln hopes to continue to develop its 8th Street Pavilion in 2025. Those stories and much more coming up in news on this Friday. But first, we stream to Facebook and YouTube. It's brought to you by Peterson Insurance, your Pekin Insurance agent in Clinton. A winter storm watch has been issued for much of central Illinois with significant snowfall, ice accumulation, and strong winds forecasted late Saturday night through Monday morning. The National Weather Service warns of hazardous travel conditions and the potential for power outages as the storm progresses. At least 6 inches of heavy snow is expected across the region with a strong likelihood of accumulation. Areas south of Interstate 70 may also see a narrow band of ice accumulation with at least 1/10 of an inch possible. Blustery north winds gusting between 20 to 30 miles per hour could cause blowing and drifting snow, especially on east-west highways, further complicating travel. The storm is anticipated to impact portions of central, east central, southeast, and west central Illinois, with the heaviest snow expected north of Interstate 70. Meanwhile, areas along and south of Interstate 70 are more likely to experience ice accumulation. Hazardous conditions could make travel very difficult or impossible, especially during the Monday morning commute. Roads, bridges, and overpasses are likely to become slick, and sporadic power outages are possible due to the combination of ice and wind. Residents are urged to monitor weather updates closely and consider delaying any travel plans. If travel is unavoidable, exercise extreme caution and be prepared with a winter storm kit, including essential items like jumper cables, a flashlight, a shovel, blankets, extra clothing, water, and a first aid kit. Keep it to Regional Radio News for updates on this developing winter storm. A new year is upon us, and the Clinton Chamber of Commerce is back to work getting ready for its annual events. Executive Director Janice Peterson indicates things begin with their annual dinner. Plans are still coming together for this event that gives a recap of the year in review and honors employers in DeWitt County through annual awards.
And I don't have a date for that yet, but I'm hoping early February. After that is actually the convention that the Haunted House volunteers go to in St. Louis. So that's always a fun time. We learn so much and get so many good ideas for that. Right on the heels of that will be Business Expo, and then May Days, and then a golf outing, and I'm going to forget something. Then the Haunted House is going to start back up again.
Yeah.
So it's a revolving door at the Chamber.
Peterson is still finalizing plans for the annual dinner. She hopes to be able to share soon. If her plans can come together, she looks forward to a fun dinner again this year.
I have spoken to some entertainment, and I don't want to give it away because he's pretty much locked in, but I want to make sure that we can get the venue and everything all straightened out.
Okay.
Then we'll have a theme for that. And like I said, hopefully that'll be around the first part of February. With the convention's the last weekend of February, the first weekend in March. And that kind of takes the dates that we typically would have used. So we're working on it. If this all pans out like I want it, it's going to be an excellent time.
According to Peterson, the Chamber has talked about moving its annual Business Expo to Clinton Junior High School. The plans for that are also still being worked out.
I haven't really even talked to the school. It has been kind of recommended by people in our board, and I haven't talked to the school to see what we can come up with there. But I'm hoping that Heartland Bank will still have their shred truck. The location would still be fine for that. And I'm hoping that we can just get more people this year. Parking would be closer. We wouldn't have to worry about any of the sports. This last year we got stuck with, they rescheduled a softball game, and we didn't know it, and the custodians at the school didn't know it. It wasn't on their calendar, so they were all helping us, and then all of a sudden the gate gets locked in the back. And that's where our people unload, and they loaded into those back doors. It became a little bit of a hassle. We worked around it. Everything worked out fine. We don't want to interfere with what's going on at the school either, so.
Once the Business Expo wraps up, the Chamber then moves on to May Days. Those dates have been locked in for May 15th through the 18th in downtown Clinton. Follow along with all things Clinton Chamber of Commerce by finding them on Facebook or visit ClintonILChamber.com. More facility expansion could be in the works for a rural Logan County school district. Jason Spang is the first-year superintendent of Mount Pulaski Schools and indicates they are in the early stages of an addition to its junior high school.
Well, it's in the very early stages. We still have some decisions to make. Obviously, one consideration is the site here at the grade school. We need the space for our junior high classrooms, but then we would also, in this model, we would be able to utilize the remainder of the space in this building, but then just add on a new gym, add on 9 new classrooms, add on district offices, and so it's a junior high addition. Right now, our elementary school pre-K through 8 is in this building here. We have 2 buildings on campus, the 9 through 12 building at the high school, and then our pre-K through 8 building here. So it would be an addition on the north side of this property of 9 classrooms plus a gymnasium. And so we're very much in the infancy stages of those conversations, but we would could break ground in the summer of 27, and it would be probably a 2-year long project. But the great news is that we don't have to relocate. We can still maintain operations here, still, put that construction project in place, and then have enough revenue by the time that's done in 29 to have it paid for.
According to Spang, this year the district is going to enter strategic planning, and while they have maintained enrollment for several years, they're hoping to create a plan to recruit and attract new families to their community.
Historically, we've maintained our enrollment, throughout the last probably 10 years, but we are sitting down in January for a new strategic plan. We're bringing in Ralph Grimm from IASA, and he's going to lead us through that process for the next 3 to 5 years. But that is definitely one focal point, is recruitment into our community. So we've seen, I would say, small incremental amounts of growth and a little bit of moving into our community. But that's one thing we really want to target. We feel like we offer a lot to students and families that want to move into a community where there's a small school setting, very low student to teacher ratio, where their students and their kids can receive more individualized instruction. And so we think that's a direct result of why we've been testing so well in the district. Why we're rated exemplary. We want to expand. That's why we're bringing new facilities and improved facilities to the community. We're not going to receive all this wind farm revenue forever, but this building is 50 years old, so we need to make improvements. We need to add on and eventually phase other parts of the building out.
Spang indicates the current strategic plan is about to expire, and it does factor in the plans the district is discussing, and the plans should be a part of the new strategic plan once it is formed this year. He also notes they unveiled the renderings at its boys' holiday basketball tournament in November around Thanksgiving. Residents of Lincoln have seen the former location of Abraham Lincoln Memorial Hospital transformed over the last few years. In 2025, Lincoln Mayor Tracy Welch hopes to continue to develop that area of the community as a hub for activity for its residents.
We're trying to grow that 8th Street property over time, trying to be fiscally responsible about it. I don't know if you remember, but many years ago, there was a proposal for that park that was $1 million to build that thing up. They called it Apex at City Center, and it was an elaborate design. We just can't afford that. And so the things we've been doing, like the fitness court and the dog park, and we have new sidewalks. That's a walking path all the way around the property. This will add to that and complement that. Mm-hmm. And so we're just trying to continue to grow out that centralized community gathering point.
According to the mayor, that property at one point had a vision with a $1 million price tag. The vision now is to perhaps develop an amphitheater type of park similar to one in Sherman.
If you've ever been to Sherman and seen the park that they have up there, they have a nice little amphitheater, and we'd like to see something like that. Not necessarily exactly the same, but something that kind of works here in Lincoln. But, you could do theater in the park, small acoustic plays. There's plenty of things that people can do down there. To movie nights, we could make sure that there's screens built in so we could do movie nights. We did a couple of them this year that the community came out, small crowds. Movies aren't everybody's thing, but I think it was nice to do that.
The mayor believes they have a great community and hopes if you've not been to Lincoln or it's been a while since your last visit, swing into town and check out some of their popular attractions. DestinationLoganCountyIL.com or LincolnIL.gov are great places to find more information about the city of Lincoln. It's 18 minutes after 7 o'clock, on this Friday. Plenty more to get to coming up on the morning show.
Baum Chevrolet Buick offers full transportation options while giving you peace of mind. This is Scott Baum from Baum Chevrolet Buick here in Clinton. This is what we do every day. We listen to you, give you options for routine maintenance, major mechanical problems, or collision repairs with a staff that's knowledgeable to find the best option for you. Baum Chevrolet Buick, your full-service dealer. See us at BaumChevyBuick.com right from the start.
News time, 18 minutes after 7 o'clock on this Friday. Again, I'm Seth Lawrence with you folks today for this expanded 7 o'clock newscast. Despite electing a new president, another election season is upon us, this time involving local schools in Illinois. No pun intended, but it's this year's consolidated election, which deals with local board and township positions, falls on April Fool's Day. Matt Dietrich is the spokesman at the Illinois State Board of Education in Springfield.
In 2025, we now are working up toward the consolidated election on April 1st. That is the election where you'll be voting for your local officials. These are your mayor, depending on the schedule of your election in your particular town, your aldermen or village board members, library boards, park boards, sanitary districts. All of these smaller units of government have their elections in odd-numbered years, and this year they fall on April Fool's Day. And I think the reason that we're on this call now is you saw one of our social media posts where we were encouraging people to get out and vote in the consolidated election on April 1st, because these are your most direct government contacts. This is your village board member or your alderperson for your district. These are the people that if your leaves aren't getting picked up on time, or you've got a problem with your street, this may be a problem in the next few days, your street's not being clear, the snowplows aren't on your street yet. These are the people that you're going to have the most direct contact with.
Out of any election, Dietrich predicts just a handful of votes could decide a couple of dozen races across the state. 2025 marks the 50th anniversary of the Master Gardener program in Illinois. Candace Anderson is with the University of Illinois Extension and says the program has had a tremendous impact across the state.
Yeah, I mean, it's huge, obviously, right? When we can quantify those numbers of how much time our volunteers have put in, how much kind of monetary value that adds to the communities. So you can kind of see those numbers, obviously, on paper. But yeah, I think just when you talk to our volunteers or you talk to community organizations that have worked with our volunteers, I think that's where the real kind of impact comes from, obviously, is hearing those stories of how Master Gardeners have helped put in this garden, how they have helped grown this produce and donated to a particular audience, how they've helped someone learn something that they could do better in their home garden. It's really those kind of one-on-one, in-person kind of impact stories that I think tell the story the best. But yeah, they are doing just awesome things out in their communities every day, and they have been for the last 50 years, which is really cool.
In celebration of this milestone, the Extension will offer local and regional events highlighting generations of volunteers and staff. USDA Rural Development offers many different programs, including those that provide funding for infrastructure needs in small towns, according to State Director Pam Minetti.
And Illinois just recently announced over $17.6 million in investments. That's $3.2 million in grants, which is, that's free money there, and 14.4 million in loans. And those are all, very, very low interest loans to these communities so that they can be able to afford to do the work on their waste and water plants and treatment facilities. So yeah, one of the places that we helped out was the city of Carterville. They used the funds to complete 2 new water towers. And then we had several villages, Hopewell, Damiensville, Anna, Village of Euland, and they used the funds to replace or build new water main, repair gravel spots in access roads, complete water tower repainting, which I know is very, very expensive, getting new storage tanks, lagoon cells, and more. So, we just want everybody to know if your community needs water or waste projects completed, I really encourage them to reach out to us. There's a lot of ways we can help that they might not be aware of, and we're excited to do so.
More information on the USDA Rural Development Programs is available at rd.usda.gov/IL. U.S. Attorney Gregory K. Harris for the General District of Illinois has announced his resignation effective midday, January 2. Harris, the first black U.S. attorney in the district's history, plans to retire after serving over 3 decades as a federal prosecutor. Nominated by President Biden and confirmed in December 2021, he thanked Senators Tammy Duckworth and Dick Durbin for their support. During his tenure, he led significant prosecutions, including cases involving civil rights violations, financial fraud, drug trafficking, and public corruption. Among the high-profile cases under his leadership were the convictions of Illinois correctional officers for civil rights abuses, the prosecution of former state Senator Sam McCann for campaign fund misuse, and a $22 million investment fraud scheme affecting victims nationwide. Harris also prioritized combating human trafficking, securing life imprisonment for a defendant in a forced labor case under the Trafficking Victims Protection Act. Reflecting on his career, he called serving as a U.S. attorney the honor of a lifetime. Before becoming U.S. attorney, Harris held leadership roles within the office, including chief of the criminal division, and handled over 35 jury trials. He also worked in private practice and for the Illinois government. Harris is a graduate of Howard University and the University of Illinois Chicago School of Law. He plans to retire in Springfield, where he's lived since 1976. For the thousands of people who battle asthma, a chronic lung disease that impacts your airwaves, the thought of vigorous exercise may be daunting. They may think, what if I'm working out alone and find myself short of breath or worse? Enter Brittany Delaney, an athletic trainer at OSF Healthcare who works with young athletes on a variety of conditions, including asthma. She says workout warriors and their parents should not be afraid. You can work up a sweat with asthma if you know your body and prepare for possible problems.
It's very important for athletes to know how to manage their symptoms properly when they're performing a sport, so that way we can reduce the likelihood that an asthma attack would occur. Actually, we like that they exercise a lot because it will help to maintain healthy weight, they'll be fit, and it also strengthens the muscles in the lungs.
Signs to watch for include shortness of breath, hyperventilation, where you breathe fast and deep, dizziness, a rapid pulse, skin changes, such as turning blue, or chest pain or tightness. If those happen, Delaney says to use an inhaler, rest, and if it's a young person, call their parents. If things don't get better quickly, call 911.
A trigger can be cold weather. So if you're outside and you're running and it's cold, put a scarf over your face to avoid that cold air getting deep. They also say that breathing through the nose rather than the mouth can also decrease.
Also, a must, keep up with medication as directed by your healthcare provider. For most people with asthma, the first line of defense is that inhaler.
I see a lot of athletes who carry their inhalers on them. But are they following those? Are they only taking their medication when they're starting to feel those symptoms coming on? Because a lot of asthma patients actually have inflammation daily. They should be taking the medication daily.
If you're working out or competing with others, Delaney suggests giving your inhaler to a designated person like a coach or trainer. That way, if you show symptoms, you don't lose valuable time digging through your bag to find the inhaler. Lastly, a proper warm-up and cool-down are key for any athlete to have success working out.
I prefer actually starting with some light cardio to warm up the muscles and then doing more of like a dynamic stretch as opposed to just a static stretch where you hold the muscle for 30 seconds. Dynamic is more active. So your heart rate's getting up, your lungs are expanding, you're getting more air in while you're doing a dynamic stretch.
Delaney adds short bursts of exercise are good for people with asthma. Think of sprinting to first base in baseball practice rather than jogging a few miles on a cross-country course. Know and avoid your triggers. If it's a pollen-heavy day, exercise inside. Chlorine can also make asthma worse, Delaney says. So if you're a person with asthma who swims, be vigilant about symptoms and the amount of time you spend in the pool. Health professionals. News time is 28 minutes after 7 o'clock. Time now for a look at this morning's obituaries. 70-year-old Glenn D. Ryerson of Assumption passed away December 22nd in Clinton. Graveside services for 70-year-old Glenn D. Ryerson will be held at Camp Butler National Cemetery with military honors in Springfield. Calvert Funeral Home of Clinton is in charge of arrangements. Memorials can be directed to the Wounded Warrior Project. 29 minutes after 7 o'clock here on this Friday. Coverage of news is brought to you by Baum Chevrolet Buick in Clinton, your Silverado headquarters, and we stream to Facebook and YouTube. Brought to you by Peterson Insurance, your Pekin Insurance agent in Clinton. Coming up on 7:30 on this Friday, Network News comes your way next. Following the network, a look at that weather forecast. More info on that winter storm watch in effect. That goes into effect on Sunday to last until Monday with anticipated heavy snowfall coming to central Illinois. Details on that in weather coming up here in the 7:30 time frame. Network News is now.
Japanese steelmaker Nippon Steel's proposed purchase of Pittsburgh-based